Man, what a last round of the regular season. This really did come down to the very last game to find out who was going to be playing finals. For me, the Carlton and Saints game was the most exciting one because Carlton made their comeback. And as you can see, Kemp has a chance to win the game, but he misses. It quickly goes down the other end, and then Filippo has the chance to ice the game, but he also misses with only a minute 20 left. And I thought this is where the game was going to end. The Blues aren't able to get the ball out of their defensive 50, and there's a bit of a scramble, and somehow Higgins has got the ball and he's kicked this, and as soon as it goes in the air, I'm thinking, nah, that's just gone straight up in the air. It's going nowhere, and there's no way it's going through for a goal. And after watching the replay, it's only just snuck through. But Saints caused the upset and the possibility that the Carlton Blues will not make finals. But as we know, Port beat Freo, so Carlton are in anyway. After Willie Rioli kicks a goal in the first quarter at almost the 7-minute mark, it takes the scoreboard to update a whole minute for it to actually put the goal on the board. Not sure if the guy went off to go get some hot chips or what, but it took him a while. Mitch Georgiades took a mark inside the forward 50, and as you can see, it's right on the boundary line and just inside the 50, so he's looking to pass it off, and he, sort of goes to pass it off, and the umpires said that's play on. Georgiades clearly didn't hear him, and so he starts walking back, and he kind of does walk over the line, but Luke Ryan makes sure that he definitely goes over the line, and this one was just completely odd. Eric Hipwood tries to kick the ball inside the forward 50, but he shanked it and it's gone out of bounds on the full. And then Ben Mackay returns the favour by kicking it to a contest inside the forward 50, which is very strange, and it ends up with a Brisbane goal. I think that one is a literal definition of a coach killer. How's this for an oddity? The game was actually stopped due to lightning, with only 10 minutes to play left between Melbourne and the Pies. The players had to go down to the rooms and wait 20 minutes. When the game was already done, I'm sure they both probably just wanted to get this over and done with. Are Melbourne bad luck? Wasn't it Melbourne and Brisbane Lions that this happened to last year? Or was it the year before? Filippo gets the ball inside the forward 50, probably about 30 metres out on a 45-degree angle, and this has to be the worst ball drop and consequently the worst shank of the year. I think this just wins the prize. This was a terrible, terrible kick. It looks like the pressure got to Zerk Thatcher. After he takes a mark, he's looking for what to do next and somehow has just tripped over an absolute ghost. In the first quarter of the Hawks and North Melbourne game, you can see that the cameraman is panning around trying to look for the ball. He has absolutely no idea where the ball is. It's actually in the Hawks defensive 50, and it takes a while for the cameraman, to see where the ball is. And even Buckley says, oh, there he is, we got him. The ball bounces over the back, and Cozzy Pickett has got the speed to outrun Quainer. And somehow he also has just tripped over his own feet. He probably was able to get away from him, but he was going that fast that he's actually tripped himself up. It's quite funny. I have absolutely no idea what's going through Taylor Walker's head here, as Melican, I think it is, takes a mark. Taylor Walker overruns the mark and just bumps him, puts him on his bum, and that's clearly a 50-metre penalty. What are you doing? The Bombers were in absolute scrambles against the Brisbane Lions. Roberts passes to Caldwell, who's going to kick inside the forward 50, and he's kicking it to a teammate, and somehow he's just missed him. He's kicked it over his head by probably close to 10 metres. It's just very strange to see from someone as skilled as Caldwell. Jeremy Cameron had 7 disposals, which were all kicks, for 7 goals in the first half. That is a pretty crazy stat. As we know, they actually kicked 2 more goals after this, the Cats, and were up by 100 points at half-time. That is an absolute flogging. Surely no one tipped West Coast Eagles for that. Please, tell me you didn't. This is how you know when the Pies are running hot. They actually get a free kick for holding the ball. Bobby Hill plays on, and then still Sidebottom tries to pull the ball up and say, no, we'll take the free kick, but the advantage has already been paid. So yeah, he has to take a shot at goal. He does, and it goes through. Sometimes you just get lucky, and when you're on, you're on. Bobby Hill's usually a very nice kick at goal, and more so on the run, I guess, and he takes this set shot at goal and just completely sprays it to the right. You can see the way he's kicked it just kind of looks a little bit lazy. In the end, it didn't matter because the Pies flogged him. After the ball goes inside the Brisbane's forward 50, you can see Jake Kelly ends up with the ball, and I don't know if Morris is actually calling for it here or not, or if he, for some reason, the Bombers, they just had trouble finding out who their teammates were. Also, Joe Danaher probably a little unlucky not to get a free kick for that. Probably should have been paid a mark. Richmond's luck is down, and as Broad receives the ball back, he just completely slips over, which opens the opportunity for a tackle. He does stay down for quite some time. I think he was injured from this, or possibly just embarrassed. The West Coast Eagles are absolute witches' hats in the game against Geelong. In this sequence, you can see 3 Cats players inside the corridor, and they're just handballing around to each other with minimal to no defensive effort from the West Coast Eagles, and this also leads to another goal. This is the exact reason why they were up by 100 points at half-time. Welcome back, Maurice Rioli. Everyone loves a clean chase-down tackle, and he follows it through with the goal. You'd love to be able to see this guy play a little bit more and hopefully not get too injured next year.
He does have that ability to hunt the opposition. Just now needs to compose himself and finish his good work. He sneaks it home.
Taylor Dray almost takes mark of the year on the ground by this little juggling act, and then Toby Green comes in to try and steal the ball away from him, and as he's standing up, Dray actually has a lock on his legs, and I just thought it was funny that Toby Green exaggerated the trip just to let the umpire know that he was. Sometimes you've got to exaggerate it to make the umpire make the call. I'd like to know what your call with this one is. I would have paid insufficient intent. You see kicks way less worse than this, in my opinion, be paid for it. McDonald's purposely picked the ball up. As he's done it, he's pretended to fall over. It's so clear he hasn't done enough to try and keep the ball in play, and the umpire calls a throw in. I think this has to be insufficient intent for me. What do you think? Tui kicks the ball up the wing, and somehow the umpires paid this a mark to Henry. When he's behind the ball, I'm sure he didn't get first hands to it, and then he comes down with the second grab, and the umpires actually paid this a mark somehow. Not entirely sure how he disposed of the ball. I think this one should be paid for holding the ball. What do you think? After Eric Hipwood tries to take a specky on Jake Kelly, he's so frustrated, Jake Kelly, that as Hipwood's on the ground, he actually nudges him with his foot. It's almost a kick. It's probably not hard enough to be classified as a kick. But what do you think about this action? Should this be a fine or possibly even a suspension? I think a fine is fine. Fine is fine. The umpire is telling Lloyd Meek to separate because you've got to keep a metre before the umpire throws the ball up. Then you can engage as the rucks. Meek knows this. The umpire gives him multiple chances to stop, and he doesn't. So then it's a free kick against him. You don't see that paid very often, if at all. As the Blues have the ball inside their forward 50, sort of scrambles around, and somehow Mark Pitnet has ended on the handball, and he's kicked it towards goal. I don't know if he tried to have more distance on this to try and kick for goal, or whether he was just trying to clear the ball forward into the goal square. Either way, it's bounced through, it's tricked everyone and gone through for a goal. Ed Richards played a phenomenal game on the weekend, and I just wanted to address something that I said last week. I'm not entirely sure why, but everyone thinks that I do not like the Dogs. I really don't care about the Dogs. Definitely do not hate them. But yeah, anyway, last week it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek because the Dogs won by a huge margin, and I was trying to say that the umpires helped them get that. The umpires don't help you win by 90 points. I guess I probably should have been a little bit more clear on that, and yeah, I definitely don't hate the Dogs. Not entirely sure how Jake Kelly hasn't been called for holding the ball here. As you can see, he half tries to fend the defender in the tackle. He's got one arm free, one arm holding the ball, and doesn't make any attempt at trying to get rid of the ball. Gets taken down to the ground, and the umpire just calls play on. The D's were just so off on the weekend, and he could have hit Pickett up in this lead up target, and they decide not to. They bomb the ball long to Van Rooyen. Pickett gets the crumb, and he's kicking this 99 out of 100 times. Somehow he's hit it clean on the post. That's just when you know it's not your night. Bobby Hill is just trying to be too much of a team player sometimes. I mean, at this point in the game, you can forgive him for it because they've already got the win secured. They pass it over to Lockie Schultz, and somehow he just completely misses everything. I've been pretty critical of him in the past, and yeah, I just don't understand why a team wants him. He's a very inconsistent player, and I guess just watch him in the next game come through and kick 6 goals. And here's yet another example of the D's just not having their night. You can see there's 3 of them in front here that can go through and kick a goal. It's just a charity goal. Somehow, Billings manages to hit the post. Either Zach Merritt has the fastest hands in the West, or this is the throw. I've been critical on Jack Ginnivan in the past, but you got to appreciate his effort that he puts in, day out. Look at this quarter, it's 1 minute left and they're already up by 110 points, 112 actually, and Ginnivan is still trying to win the ball here in the last minute just to get that one more goal, and that's what you love, just a team player who just never quits no matter what's thrown at them. It was so windy and wet at Ballarat, but it was great to see the massive turnout for the last game of the year for the Doggies, in the regular season that is. And you can just see how windy it is by the goal sticks having a complete dance party. And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to try and do some Brownlow prediction videos, and also I want to try and do a bit more of how each team has performed throughout the year if I do get the time, but if not, I will definitely get the Brownlow video out next week. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in next week's video.